Think about the most expensive, highly sought-after steak you can order at a luxury restaurant. What makes it so valuable? It is the marbling. That intricate spiderweb pattern of white fat running directly through the deep red muscle tissue makes the meat incredibly soft, tender, and rich. For a steak on a dinner plate, marbling is a culinary masterpiece. Welcome to Dr. Levitas. But for a living, breathing human being, that exact same marbling is a biological catastrophe. Your profound physical exhaustion, your stiff joints, and your inability to build strength have absolutely nothing to do with a lack of willpower. What if you are struggling because your own muscle tissue is literally being marbled like a steak? You aren't just gaining weight. A highly toxic, inflammatory fat is actively infiltrating and destroying your muscle fibers from the inside out. Today, we are going to look inside your biology to expose a silent epidemic that is robbing millions of people of their strength, their mobility, and their lifespan. We are talking about sarcopenic obesity and the terrifying reality of the marbled meat syndrome. Please take a second to hit the like button and leave a comment. Your engagement is a huge help to the channel. To understand what is happening inside your body, we have to look at how your body stores energy. Normally, when you consume excess calories, your body stores that energy as subcutaneous fat, the soft, pinchable layer of fat sitting directly beneath your skin. This is a relatively safe, evolutionarily normal way to store fuel. But our modern environment has broken this system. Because of chronic stress, ultra-processed foods, and severe physical inactivity, our safe fat storage depots become completely full or metabolically dysfunctional. When this happens, the fat doesn't just stop accumulating, it finds a new place to live. It begins to spill over into places it was never designed to be, like your liver, your heart, and crucially, your skeletal muscle. Medical science calls this specific phenomenon myosteatosis, which translates literally to muscle fat. It is ectopic fat, fat in the wrong place. Instead of sitting quietly under your skin, microscopic droplets of fat begin to wedge themselves directly between and inside your actual muscle fibers. Your dense, powerful, tightly woven muscle tissue is slowly replaced by soft, metabolically dead fatty tissue. You are literally marbling your own muscles. This marbling isn't just a cosmetic issue, it causes a devastating mechanical failure. Let's look at how a muscle actually works. Your muscles are made of thousands of microscopic, overlapping protein filaments called actin and myosin. When your brain tells your arm to lift a heavy box, these filaments must smoothly slide across one another, gripping and pulling tightly to create a mechanical contraction. But what happens when those filaments are suffocated by intrusive droplets of fat? The fat physically gets in the way. It acts like thick, sticky sludge inside the engine of your muscle. You send the neurological signal to contract, but the fibers cannot fully slide together. The mechanical force is blocked. This is why you can feel so incredibly weak, uncoordinated, and heavy, even when doing basic daily tasks. Your muscles are trying to fire, but they are physically gagged by the fat trapped inside the muscle belly. This brings us to one of the most dangerous deceptions in modern medicine, the bathroom scale. Sarcopenic obesity, the medical term for the combination of low muscle mass and high body fat, is completely invisible to a standard scale. You can step on a scale and have a normal body mass index. You might wear an average clothing size and look perfectly healthy to the outside world. But underneath the skin, your body composition is entirely inverted. You have the total muscle mass and muscle density of a frail 80-year-old, hidden beneath a normal weight. A pivotal 2021 comprehensive review published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia and Muscle demonstrated that individuals with normal weight sarcopenic obesity actually carry a significantly higher risk of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic dysfunction than people who are outwardly, visibly obese but possess high muscle mass. The scale is a liar. It cannot tell the difference between dense, life-saving muscle tissue and toxic, marbled fat. And that marbling is highly toxic. The fat droplets invading your muscle tissue are not just passive blobs of stored energy. They are biologically active, highly aggressive endocrine organs. When fat infiltrates the muscle, it begins to panic. The fat cells recognize they are not in their proper biological home, so they become chronically inflamed. They start secreting powerful, inflammatory chemical messengers called cytokines directly into the surrounding muscle tissue. This localized inflammation acts like biological acid. The cytokines actively degrade the healthy muscle proteins around them, accelerating the loss of your remaining muscle mass. It is a vicious, self-fulfilling cycle. The more fat that infiltrates the muscle, the more inflammatory cytokines are released, which destroys more muscle, making room for even more fat to take its place. Your muscle tissue is literally burning to the ground from the inside out, driven by this localized chemical warfare. As if the mechanical weakness and the inflammation were not devastating enough. Myosteatosis fundamentally breaks your body's ability to process carbohydrates, leading straight to type 2 diabetes. Your skeletal muscle is the largest metabolic sink for glucose in your entire body. When you eat a meal, 80% of those carbohydrates are supposed to be absorbed by your muscles to be used for energy. To let the glucose in, the hormone insulin knocks on the door of the muscle cell. But when your muscle cells are choked with intracellular fat, specifically toxic fat byproducts called ceramides and diacylglycerols, the lock on the door gets completely jammed. This phenomenon is called lipotoxicity. Insulin knocks, but the muscle cell cannot hear it. You become what researchers call insulin deaf, more commonly known as severe insulin resistance. Because the muscle refuses to absorb the sugar, the glucose backs up into your bloodstream, your pancreas pumps out even more insulin in a desperate panic, and your blood sugar spirals out of control. You cannot fix this type of diabetes by simply eating less sugar. You have to fix the cellular machinery. You have to clean the fat out of the muscle so it can hear the insulin signal again. So how do you know if you are suffering from hidden sarcopenic obesity? Before you rush out to get an expensive MRI, there is a simple, profound, zero-cost clinical assessment you can do right now. It is called the Sitting Rising Test or the Get Up Test. Developed by Dr. Claudio Gil Araujo and published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology in 2012, this test is one of the single greatest predictors of human longevity ever studied. I want you to try this later today. Stand in an open space, in comfortable clothes, with bare feet. Cross your legs and lower yourself completely to a seated position on the floor. Now, stand back up. The goal is to do this without using your hands, your knees, your forearms, or the side of your legs for support. You start with 10 points. You lose 1 point for every hand or knee you have to use to help you get down or get up. You lose half a point if you lose your balance. If you score less than an 8 out of 10, your risk of dying in the next 6 years from any cause doubles. If you score less than a 3, your risk increases by a staggering 500%. Why? Because this test requires the exact things that myosteatosis destroys: pure, functional muscle power, joint stability, and neurological coordination. If your muscles are marbled with fat, they cannot generate the torque required to lift your own body weight off the floor. Failing this test is your body's ultimate warning siren. But I am not here to give you a diagnosis without a cure. The human body is miraculously resilient, and sarcopenic obesity is entirely reversible. But you cannot cure it by starving yourself on a treadmill. You have to literally squeeze the fat out of the muscle. The only known biological mechanism to actively clear intramuscular fat and reverse sarcopenic obesity is heavy, progressive resistance training paired with a high-protein diet. When you lift heavy weights, you create a massive localized metabolic demand inside that specific muscle. Your body realizes it needs immediate, explosive energy to move the weight. Because the fat is stored right there inside the muscle belly, the muscle uses it as localized rocket fuel. The intense contraction of the muscle fibers acts like a mechanical pump, essentially wringing out the muscle like a dirty sponge. Over weeks and months of consistent strength training, your body burns up those toxic intracellular fat droplets. As the fat is cleared out, you consume high-quality bioavailable protein, aiming for at least 100 grams a day, to rebuild the actin and myosin filaments. Your muscle becomes dense, tightly packed, and powerful again. The inflammation plummets, your cells regain their hearing and become hypersensitive to insulin, and you reverse your metabolic age by decades. The doctor's verdict: clear the fat away. You are not broken, and it is never too late to remodel your cellular architecture. The marbled meat syndrome is a product of our modern environment, but you hold the absolute power to reject it. By stepping off the scale and focusing entirely on the functional density of your muscle tissue, you can clear the toxic fat, restore your insulin sensitivity, and build a body that is genuinely strong from the inside out. Lift heavy, prioritize your protein, and demand more from your biology. Stay strong, train your body for life, and I will see you in the next video. Watch this video suggestion. It was especially picked for you. Also share, comment, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It helps a ton with the algorithm. Remain tuned for future videos to empower your health and fitness journey. So, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep going.